Okay, so we're going to start. We haven't decided which side would start.
Flip a coin.
Okay, that's what we did last time, and I think that the
actually a coin.
actually they were quite into. You have a real coin?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's
Or
good.
I have a coin.
It's good.
Me too, Mom. But I
You
have
owe
it
me
in my
money
room.
anyway.
I'm in my room.
Head or tail?
You're tails.
No.
We're tails. Yes.
No way.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll go by alphabetical order, head or tails. So the Epicureans will be heads.
When?
Okay?
3.
Heads, tails by the alphabetical order. Here we go. And it is tails. So the Stoics are first. Thank you.
Alright.
Oh, wait. Okay, is everybody ready?
Okay.
Let us begin.
Okay. So we are the Stoicism. We believe in Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, and his philosophy is that he believed that every person who existed had a role to fulfill, which you need to fulfill, yeah. And that's the philosophy.
Okay, so the proponents are the people in Stoa in ancient Rome, since Stoa was a Greek philosophy, so I dig a little bit to find people who are in late Stoa, which is another word for Stoicism, and the people I found were Moncionus Rufus, Cincinnatus, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, are some of the people that I found
Okay.
in the strengths.
You want to tell us anything about those people? Are they anybody notable? Or are they just a common man on the street?
I couldn't find anything about them.
Well, Marcus Aurelius is in. Did everybody know? We read about him in the book.
Yeah. I looked in the book.
He is one of the emperors. So we have an emperor who was a Stoic. Okay.
And a couple of our strengths is that our philosophy is that we are supposed to endure pain without showing emotion, and also without complaining. And our philosophy teaches self-control, fortification.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about your strengths before we move on? Okay.
Okay, so we are Epicureans, and our philosophy was to live as happily as you could. But some things you had to religion is like a source of fear. So avoid religion, avoid God because he's a source of fear. You don't have to fear death because once you're dead, you don't think of anything, so you can't have fear. And fear is a source of unhappiness. And you want to avoid pain at all costs, unless the pain will bring more pleasure afterwards. Anyways.
Proponents. Our proponents in ancient Rome is Lucretius. Poet, greatest expander to the nature of things. Epicure. What the? Pause. What is this?
Epicurus.
No, this.
That was the Pokemon.
Oh, okay. So there's this guy. His name is Lucretius. He's a poet and the greatest expander. And then he wrote a book with the title "The Nature of Things." Epicurus.
What are the strings?
I hope the Epicureans aren't so relaxed that they're not prepared.
The third one.
Yeah, my strings are weird.
Just read it.
No, it's up here.
Oh, okay. So our strength for this, for Epicureanism, is that it allows us to find happiness.
Ooh.
And happiness is #1 priority to the soul, because if people just have I don't know, anyways, yeah, so happiness to the soul. And so
Yeah, it's good choice.
The strengths of that people could avoid like painful things. You could give kind of excuse. Oh well, let's not do this because you know when we weigh it out, more pain or pleasure. It's more pain than we're going to get pleasure out of this, so let's not do it. But then other things, and it actually, yeah. Anyways, so like other things, you could be like, oh well, even though this is really not a fun thing to do, in the end, there's going to be a greater like benefit towards us, so let's do this. So people could kind of weigh out their thoughts that way, kind of measure them and see, oh, what should we do when they have the options.
Okay, great. All right, thank you for the presentations. Now we're going to go on to our debate. Which philosophy would make a better basis for school? So we're going to hear from your sides, and here's where you can raise your hand if you want to interject or respond to something that someone on the other side says. Okay, who wants to start us off? Why would your philosophy make a good basis for a school and a better basis for a school than the other philosophy? Who will start us off? May the better philosophy start us off. Oh, so you're all admitting that the other side is better? Whoa!
We're not trying to make that side more.
Well, you're in a debate, so you're not trying to put any person down, but you need to talk ideas.
So his philosophy will make a better basis for school. So here now, as we see, you are Epicurean, standing only for pleasure, and we are Stoicism, that we have kind of like a rule to govern our life. And as you know, I am Stoic, so I speak first. You are not ready.
I see how it is, Mom. This is where our friendship ended.
Okay. And besides, Leo was not ready, and that's because he was measuring himself.
What is this all about?
As you know, if we kind of like only search for pleasure in our life, then we wouldn't get much to where we are supposed to be. We wouldn't be able to study and pursue stuff that will benefit our life. And as you know, you only look for the things that are kind of like here now, and so yeah.
Okay, so if I understand, you're saying that the ability to deny yourself would be a good quality for achieving excellence in academics and studies. Okay, you have a response over there?
Yes. Okay, it wasn't all about pleasure because you have to measure. Is this worth what's going to happen afterwards? Like, it talks about, I was reading this article, and it talks about how, like, you might like this certain kind of food, like, a lot, but it's really bad for you. And you have to think, like, really rich kind of foods, you know? You have to think about, oh, in the end, is this going to be, like, maybe I'm going to get stomachache because I ate so much of it, but then my taste bud likes it, so it's pleasure. But then, in the end, I'm going to feel worse, so I shouldn't do this. Like, people would measure it out. It wasn't just do whatever you want.
So you think students would be good at measuring that out and making the right decisions?
Some people can and some people can't. Like, it was also about self-control. Stoicism was about self-control too, but you have to have self-control if you're not going to just do whatever you want to do, you know? Okay. You have to measure between the two.
Okay. You can respond, but does anyone else here, Stoics, want to say anything before I give Mom? Okay, go ahead, Mom.
And you say that we have to measure, but that's Stoicism. Stoicism had a control over themselves. And as we know, in the book, it says that Epicurean teaching seek happiness as the only good. Let men could do anything that would bring them pleasure. This teaching became the excuse for the worst excessive of behavior. So that's, you say, you kind of like think ahead, and that's us.
So for catching your point here then, in ancient Rome, we have examples of people using that philosophy to go to the excess. Okay.
Yeah, it can go worse.
It can go to excess and be worse. Okay. Did anyone here want to respond before Elizabeth? Okay.
Leo, you have something to say? No?
No? Okay. Well, you say, oh, well, people use that as an excuse to go to excess of like, oh, whatever we want to do. But then that wasn't true Epicureanism because it was what we want to do that makes us happy, but not something that causes us pain afterwards. So it wasn't just, oh, let's do whatever we want to do ever.
Okay, so you're
because some
saying
things you want to do, but then there is a bad result after you do them.
okay, so then if Epicureanism is applied rightly, it would make a good basis for a school? So can you explain, any of you here explain how that could make a good basis for a school? How would that help young people make good decisions if they were true Epicureans?
Well, if you were, people were Stoic, okay, so, like, okay, imagine the school. Magic wand. Mr. Holland's magic wand. I stole it from him. I borrowed it. Anyways, so imagine a Stoic school. People are just okay. Anyway, so imagine OA, just all Stoic. People are just studying, just like doing like, just like striving for best, getting better ACs, B's, or. But would they be better people? No, they're just like robots. They don't think for themselves. They're just thinking that, like, oh, like I want the better for OA or something like that. But if you have Epicureanism, it's like, oh, you allowed to have yourself freely and be better people morally.
Actually, I was digging on the internet and I found some that says that Stoics actually recognize the common reason and essential value of all people. So we weren't just robots. We valued other people.
Okay. Did you hear his response to what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so he's making a point. Maybe you have a misrepresentation of Stoicism. Is that what you're saying? So how does the Stoics show a value or respect for all people?
That was hard to find. They always live in harmony, which is actually very true because you're following the law, but not just merely to the point that you're just a robot. You still have individuality.
Okay. All right. Do you have a response over here? Okay.
Well, also another thing, like you were saying, like, oh, people are like, trying to get the better for other things, but then, like, in Stoicism, like, people does not show their expressions so much, Like, you have to hold your feeling in, like he stated at the very first of this discussion. Like, one of the greatest things, like, Epicurus, he had this quote, and it was like, one of the greatest things is to have a friendship, but not have a friendship that you are, like, have a burden for, like, have a burden on them, like, to do something, like, you have to do something. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not something brings you down, but the greatest thing is a friendship where people can be together, having discussion, talking freely about things. It would be more happy than to be just going around doing daily duties every time, just straight-faced whole time kind of things.
So are you saying that if you do things only by duty and it's not from your heart, it's not as good quality?
Yes, exactly.
And so in a school setting, how could you apply that?
When you were having a project, you have to do it with all of your heart so that you can get a good score. And
Okay, so is the goal just to get a good score for the Epicureans?
No. The goal for Epicurean is to enjoy it, but you need to do good too. Like, if you're not doing good, how can you enjoy it?
Okay. Do you have any comment? Do you think that's true? Would enjoyment be necessary to do good, or could that get out of hand if enjoyment became the goal rather than fulfilling your duty?
It could get out of hand, yeah.
Did you want to say something, Keisha?
No.
Or can you think of an example in a school like your students?
Yeah.
Trying to imagine a way with Epicurean philosophy. Would that be good for you, or would that be a problem for you? Keisha, let's have Keisha respond.
It could be a problem. It depended on if, like, with the Epicureans, they have the thought of, it needs to be fun, or has to have enjoyment of some sort. Whereas we believe that it doesn't have to be fun. It doesn't have to always be fun, but it's good to get a good grade on it, no matter what. And here, if we had all Epicureanism, we wouldn't have that good of grades and we just have a lot of fun.
So you're being honest, you think that you or most students would not really fulfill their duties?
Because
if
they
had
would be too worried about having fun and they wouldn't worry about the project.
Like an example, like Luis, he had to deny himself. Not a big deal to get his grades up.
Okay, so you have two
And
examples.
you denied yourself not a big deal to get your chemistry grade up.
Whoa.
Oh, another point him out.
Okay, I think they want to respond over here.
I don't think it's right to use other students as example.
I agree.
We should level that down.
I'm going to object to that because we are applying it to the school, and you can use real life examples. What better example is there than a real life example?
I have a question. Who doesn't feel good when you see your good grades, like at the end of the quarter, at the end of school year? Who doesn't feel happy inside?
No, we do.
No, answer the question. Who do you feel happy inside when you have good grades at the end? You feel accomplishment. Oh, this is so good. Okay, well, there is another quote from Epicureans. Long-term pleasure over short-term pleasure. So maybe right then you might feel good. I don't want to do my homework right now. No, man, let's not do that. But then if you don't do it, and then later on you see the grade, it's going to be sad. And you're going to be more sad than right then when you were having a fun time. Maybe joke with your friend or something in your room during the study hall when you're really supposed to do your homework. Where if you do your homework, even though for some people it's not fun, but then in the end, maybe even when you're done with college, you have these good jobs, everything like that, it's going to be so much better for you. And you're going to actually have an enjoyable life because of that.
Okay, so once again, I think you're making the point that true Epicureanism would not be a problem in the school setting. It would have to be applied properly.
Exactly.
Now, what about over here? She made the point that you have pleasure. Is there any pleasure for the Stoics? What's the Stoics' pleasure?
Okay, so she says a long time pleasure, but in that part, it shows a little of Stoicism, a duty where one is supposed to have self-control over things one wants to do. So yeah, that's us.
Okay, so you think she's actually describing you then?
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
But we didn't long for the pleasure. We long for the duty to help men and achieve academic skills for the improvement of people.
Go ahead. We strive to accomplish and to get good. Like okay, so we don't just always go around, and are always happy. Well, I mean, maybe it's like that.
Please listen to the other side.
But with the Epicureans, they like pleasure. And I mean, I'm not saying they don't like accomplishment, but I'm going to say that they more are like
Focusing.
they focus more on the fun than they do on the accomplishment.
Did you want to add anything?
Also here at our school, you're rewarded to having good conduct and following the rules with a green card. You still are rewarded with something. Or both. Blue card.
So you're saying there is a reward for denying yourself. If I'm understanding you correctly, when you focus on duty, pleasure is the byproduct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you want to respond over here?
What happens? Okay, so what if you're just fully focused on duty? Okay, you get that green card. What do you do with it? You have pleasure afterwards. See, even in your Stoicism, you have some Epicureanism in it.
Okay, but the question here, Leo, is what's better for a school? If you focus on duty and then pleasure comes as a byproduct, or if you focus on pleasure and then you achieve what you want as a byproduct, what's better?
But is pleasure a byproduct of accomplishment? Because, like, if you see, oh, I've done something, you feel good about it. You feel good if you made a good grade. You feel good if you did something really good for someone else. Like, making people happy makes you happy. So they could be making people happy, doing things for others, but it still makes them happy. They're just saying, I'm not going to do things that I don't like to do if it hurts me more afterwards.
So are you saying that a good Stoic is an Epicurean?
I feel like sometimes there's like a relation to the two. I'm serious.
Okay.
That's what I found yesterday.
Okay. Whoa, interesting. Anyone else here had a a comment to add? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this, well, I just realized at the beginning she mentioned something about religion. With us, we believe in religion. They don't. And they are scared of religion, whereas we aren't as scared of it.
Okay, and so why is religion good for the society?
There's something to believe in.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Epicureanism, looks for pleasure only in this life. And as we see, Marcus Aurelius, a governor or an emperor of the Roman Empire, was a Stoicism. There is no Epicureanism in the Roman Empire, or if they are.
Okay, he's making an interesting point. I don't want anyone to miss it. He's saying we have examples of Stoics who were extremely successful in the Roman period, and he can't think of any Epicureans who reached those heights.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an indicator of anything, but...
And as you see, as he's a Stoicism, he was a scholar, a philosopher, and an administrator. He achieved much.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
Going back to her point, how she brought up religion, we didn't believe that there was. Like, we didn't believe in a life after death. We believe you just die and then you're done. So there is nothing to be scared of. Like, we don't have a thing to have good in the afterlife, because once you're dead, you're dead. So we don't really have a fear of afterlife. But if you have a religion that says, oh, well, some things is bad to do, and if you do this bad things, then something is going to happen later. It's like a consequences. Like, for something you do, and you're not accountable really to anyone, but you just have consequences once you die. Who wants to believe, oh, once I die and then this is going to happen, you know, like this horrible things to me. So then instead, it's more pleasant just to be like, oh, well, we don't even believe in this in the first place. And also to say like, oh, well, we don't have a fear of religion because we don't have religion. Like, there is fear if you have religion, because you could believe, oh, I did something bad, so now something is going to happen to me.
That's your point. Do you want to respond to that? Stoics. I'm not sure that the Stoics had a very well-developed idea of the afterlife either.
Yeah.
But what might be the problem of having no religion? Maybe you need to look at that. In this life, what would be the problem?
She says that Epicureanism, he doesn't think on the afterlife, but on this life. And if we put that example in this school, we would only think of like we would still like be in the kind of like the Stone Age or something, because we wouldn't go to like much advanced. But because of religion and stuff like that, we aim higher, kind of like, or if we believe in reincarnation, we want to be in a higher position, so we do this and then so our civilization grew much, and that's the benefit of.
So you're saying that Epicureanism, there's something about that philosophy that would lead people not to achieve more?
Yeah.
Because they're focusing on temporal
themselves.
Pleasures? Yeah. Okay, I don't know if you want to... Anybody else have something to respond besides Elizabeth? Just giving you a chance. Okay, otherwise try to be brief, Elizabeth, just because we're going to have a third part, but go ahead. No, finish.
Okay, well, like he said, I know, I kind of like forgot my thought because like he said. But anyways, as he was saying, like, you don't achieve things, and like also, like, anyways, but like another of our, like, part of the philosophy was like, if you do good things will come to you. So it could be, even though we don't believe in like God, so like if we do bad things, no bad things will come to us, which I know that could lead to, oh, well, we can just do whatever we want because we won't get punishment. But if you do good things will come to you. But if you're doing bad things, good things will not come to you. Nothing will come to you.
Oh, okay.
So it could be that you could just still be like nice, and also being nice makes you happy. Because if you're always grumpy, are you going to be happy? Like, never. That's impossible things.
It didn't say we are grumpy, it says to think of others, to have the duty over self-control. And yeah, that's what we mean.
So in the room, just did you have final comments, and we're going to move to our last part.
Think of others.
But all of all, but are you happy in doing it? Or are you just doing it just because you're doing it for others?
So you're asking, can you be happy while you're doing a duty?
Yeah. Or you're just doing it from your heart. Because if you do it from your mind, you're not doing it.
True.
You must do it from the heart.
Yeah, remember Leo when we were doing that diet thing?
Oh my goodness.
I actually felt better, and you went crazy.
Okay.
I divided myself
Can you
something.
explain this to us a little bit? We're not all in on
Okay,
it.
because me and Leo decided to do like this raw thing, and Leo actually went insane, but I felt better, and I felt happy. I was denying myself something, and I had pleasure. Pleasure was a byproduct of what I was saying earlier. But Leo, I don't know what happened to him. He just went insane and craved all the food, and he broke. And broke after 5 days. I did 14 days.
What?
You did 14 days?
14 days.
You didn't tell me. I did 14 days.
No, you didn't.
I did 14
2 weeks.
So you have a living personal experience of
Yeah.
the benefits of that Stoic kind of.
It's still going up.
But
Yes.
that's the point. Sometimes pain, like he denied himself, and then you measure, oh, and he actually felt better, even though he did that. So he denied himself, but he still felt better. That's it.
But
Okay,
we
that's-
did
And also,
But
back to-
your one little problem is just that was an experiment. He didn't know ahead of time he was going to feel pleasure.
no, you might not know.
So that's the problem. Would an Epicurean take that kind of chance when you don't have any proof that
Possibly.
it's going to?
Yeah.
Possibly?
Possibly.
Yes.
Depends on people's
But-
personality.
Whereas they were just saying that whereas Leo dropped. He dropped out and for the pleasure, okay. So that shows that
Or to avoid the pain.
He
Yeah,
avoided
yeah.
pain
and he stuck with
ate
the pain
pizza.
and he just did it.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
So that
Does Leo
also
look like a
shows.
pleasure seeker to you?
Yes. What?
He's
No, I don't. Hey,
You're good as
you
your
should do
all
nothing
the
to do
favorite meals
instead of
for
doing
this.
things with your
Hey,
platform.
okay. If you're gonna bring in real life experiences,
Oh.
during that experiment, I was under Great Depression. I was sad. Like I had a bunch of stress around me.
You're
Like,
sexy.
school, silence! School, people, and now I have to deal with some dieting. But if I just get rid of the pain that's like spiking me, then I feel free. And now, like, if you see me today, like, I'm like probably the most horrible dude in like his class where. But-
Leo, there's a camera.
But
I can see
the
it.
thing is, I feel happy.
But don't worry, we can cut this out.
So are you saying that you feel happy even though you're not doing your duty? Is that the point?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I'm
You
not sure
have
that's
no
going to
duty
be
to
your argument.
perform.
All right, let's try to have our final comments. I'll give everyone a chance to make a final comment. We're going to go to our discussion question.
But that day that you broke, you ate like 6 pieces of pizza and you felt you were gonna throw up that day.
I didn't feel like I was gonna throw it.
But after you throw up, after you throw up, you feel
You were
relief.
really full.
Like there is no more
Like,
pain
you know,
anymore.
stomach.
Am I right? Like you were holding your throw up, and then after you throw up,
Okay. Good. All right. That's fine.
Philosophy compared to Christianity.
Actually,
Let's move on,
we might need to move on, but does anyone have a final statement to wrap it?
Let's wrap this up.
We already wrapped it up. We're moving.
Epicureanism is better than Stoics.
whoa, okay.
In our dream.
Maybe for now, it could be
Okay.
changed in the second
Okay.
Just
Final
wait,
statement
guys.
from the Stoics?
You will
Okay, in Galatians 6:9 it says the duty of man for Christian is to have self-control over themselves.
Okay, we're segueing into our discussion question. How do these philosophies compare to Christianity? And so Wong is making the point that self-denial fits perfectly with Christianity. Is that what you're saying? Okay, over here.
But you could deny yourself because what if it brings more pleasure later?
Okay, so you're saying Epicureans do fit in with self-denial. Okay, she's made that point. That's good. Other things, how does your philosophy compare? Where does it intersect with Christianity and where perhaps does it diverge?
Stoicism was a monotheistic religion and they believed in the logos.
Oh, okay. Which we know to be the word that's used, the Greek word used for Jesus in John 1:1. Okay? That's interesting research there.
Well, for Epicureanism, we may not have a religion, but you can find some Epicureanism remarks in the Bible, for instance. Like, I don't know.
Psalms 1, 2.
There actually is some. I remember one of you guys.
That's why we do this in class, y'all.
Remember the Lord always.
I'm not going to give them to you now, but that was part of your preparation.
Oh yeah, like, rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. We do it for pleasure. Do we rejoice in the Lord because it's a duty to do? No, it's from the pleasure of our own hearts. So
True.
Okay.
Okay, you guys believe in, pleasure of your own hearts, right? But God also says to think about others first. Whereas us, we do duties on the outside. But
And if we have a duty for others, that will bring pleasure, and then we will rejoice.
As long as you're supposed to stay. Too much pleasure over there.
Yes.
Another thing is doing things for others brings you pleasure. So
Okay, so
you
you're
can do exactly. That's the whole point.
okay. Go.
And speaking of God's words, whenever we feel pain, like every time, we can always talk to God, and then after that, He relieves us from pain. We feel pleasure.
So God likes to relieve pain. Is that your point? A very good point. We'll come back to you in a moment. I'll come
you
right back
guys
to you.
don't believe in a God, so how can you believe in that?
Oh,
Just
No,
like-
but we're comparing.
Comparing it.
At
Christianity.
this point, it's
to
not
our-
about, we know neither group believed in the Bible, okay?
Yeah.
But we're looking at elements of the philosophy that coincide with biblical truth, and those elements that diverge. And I haven't heard that yet, but go ahead.
Also, another thing, like Jesus, He does stuff for us because He loves us. And He cares for us, and it makes Him happy to do things for us. He doesn't do stuff for us because, it is my duty to take care of these people down here on this world, and, why do I have to do this, but I need to do it, you know? It's like, He actually loves us.
Okay, so the motive is love, not just pure duty.
Exactly.
Okay, I think go.
And
Say something.
and when He died in the cross, do you know what He relieves us from? He frees us from sin.
and sin is pain.
And sin is pain.
So after
Well, the
that,
Bible, the Bible does talk about the pleasures of sin.
But
Or
in the
season,
end,
so-
but in the end, what is
Okay, let this side answer and we'll come over.
Much more harder.
Go ahead.
First, I try to remember, but I can't remember completely.
Well, you can paraphrase if you
but
don't remember
it is-
exactly.
it is from the duty of man that we gain freedom
Okay.
from sin.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is
Keisha?
You also have to realize Jesus suffered greatly for just to get the pleasure at the end.
And that's
Which is Epicureanism.
but
Measure
the
it.
beginning
If
is
suffering works for more love.
He suffered
Okay.
for that.
so Monkey. He keeps on bringing out this duty thing, right? So imagine you do this duty thing from a Stoicism perspective. So you do it just because you have to, and it's just an outward look so that people can look at you. But if you take it from an Epicureanism point of view, you do it from the heart because it brings you pleasure to do good for others. And Jesus had said that if you just like clean the outside of a cup, the inside is still dirty. But if you clean the inside of the cup,
So good behavior on the outside, fulfilling your duty, might not be pleasing to God if your heart is wrong. Okay, you might want to think about Ecclesiastes 12. It says, let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter. You might want to end on that. Since we need to conclude, it would be a nice Stoic conclusion. Fear God and keep His commandments, right? Isn't Ecclesiastes? All right. Good job. We got to end here.
Under class 1.